In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about the Bears' fourth victory in a row. Yes, fourth victory in a row. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. The season is going on right now, so make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how are you doing on this start of the fall weather Sunday?
I'm doing good. Bears needed to get a win today, and they got it. There were some good things, there were some not good things, but in the end, you come away with a 26-14 win over the Saints. You know what was really funny is it really didn't register to me how long it had been since the Bears beat the Saints.
Oh,
Because,
it's been a minute.
yeah, and you know, they're not a division team, but they're an NFC team. So you see them fairly often. And I just kept thinking back. I'm like, okay, the first Bears Saints game I ever think of when I was a kid was the NFC Championship. And obviously, when the Bears beat them to go to the Super Bowl. And then I know the Bears beat them in the following years, 07, 08. And then it's like, oh, they haven't beaten them since. You know, I remember 2011 when they got their doors blown off at the Superdome. And then 2017, I believe it was. Remember that was the game where Miller almost died,
Yeah, I remember that game, and then they didn't give him the catch.
which was ridiculous.
Stupid ridiculous.
Yeah, so that was a frustrating loss and a scary one. And then I remember that hot mic thing that you and I did in 2019 where we called a few games. I remember we called one of those Bears losses, and that was to the Saints at home. And I think Cordero Patterson brought a kickback for a touchdown, and that was like the only good thing that happened for the Bears. And then, yeah, obviously the playoffs in 2020, if you even care to remember that, everybody knew they weren't going to win that game. So it's like, yeah, it's been a hot minute since they've beaten the Saints, and I don't think that there were a lot of people doubting they'd win this game, but it is the NFL, and we've seen some of the outcomes in recent weeks where there have been upsets, and it's just a reminder that you have to take every game seriously no matter who the opponent is. And I think it's also fair to say that yes, the Saints are not a good team. They're 1-6 now, but you've seen some good things from them the past few weeks, and it wasn't going to be necessarily the gimme that you might have thought because before the season I'm like, okay, that should be no problem. But going to this game, I'm like, I still think they'll win, but there was a little uneasiness. I'm like, it kind of feels like a trap scenario. You come off a road win against the Commanders in huge, epic fashion. And how many times have we seen it? The Bears win a big game against a worthy opponent on the road, then they come home and they play an inferior opponent and they lose. So I think there was a lot of trap game fear, but I think down deep we were pretty confident they were going to come away with the win, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a lot. You're absolutely right. This was like the epitome of a trap game. A team that's been struggling, playing much better as of late, but still struggling. Uh, and um, and then you have a Bears coming off of some emotional wins. Um, so
Yes.
it was it and coming home, bad weather, a team that has a really good running back and in the sloppy conditions and for the most part the Bears have struggled this season against the run. There was the story of where the Saints could have won existed. It wasn't a situation where you're just like, there's no way it would take some crazy thing. No, no, that's the scenario and that story is there.
Hmm.
Um, but the Bears came out and did what they needed to do. Was it a pretty win? No, but the Bears are starting to form an identity. I think
Which they
that's
haven't
the
had in how long?
yeah, and that's the important thing. Um, that's that's how they need to be is there needs to be this identity, and they're starting to be able to run the ball really more than efficiently, and the defense is starting to take the ball away, and that they're the number one team in the NFL at takeaways.
222 yards on the ground today, and back-to-back 100 plus yard games from DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift also had a touchdown today. Last week he had a touchdown too. That was technically a pass, but he had a rushing touchdown today. So he has impressed in back-to-back games, and you're seeing how well the middle line is blocking. And that is a huge credit to them. But I really do think, I mean, maybe it's just the illusion, but I just feel like DeAndre Swift is hitting the holes and accelerating better because we saw several plays today where once he found that space, you saw the defender coming at him, but he was able to just kind of zoom by. And that's what we were hoping to get from DeAndre Swift from the get-go. And hey, Kyle Monangai had what, 94 rushing yards today? Far and
80,
away his best
81
game.
yards. Yeah, so Monungai and Swift both had over 6 yards a carry, almost six and
Yeah.
a half yards a carry for both of them. Both really effective runners. And you're right, DeAndre Swift has looked a lot better. He got called out, but also they changed the way that run scheme looks. Is we've said it a million times. He's can't break tackles, especially from those big defensive linemen, but he's not getting hit by those defensive linemen as nearly as much.
No, no, he's not. He's not. And that's where the credit to the offensive line comes in. And it's funny because we're not used to this. We're not used to pausing tape and seeing, wow, look at all these moving parts on the Bears offense. Look at where these linemen are positioned on this run play, where you see all your different guys in the right positions to give yourself opportunity. Like, we're not used to that. We're like, why the hell are three guys bunched in one spot? That's what we've been asking throughout the entire Shane Waldron era. It wasn't very long, but we were asking that for most of the time he was there. And now you're looking at some of these run plays and you're like, look where Drew Dahlman is positioned. Look where even DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, where these blocks are happening. Look at them follow their lead blockers. All these things, all these parts doing what they can to be part of this offense. I mean, you haven't even seen the best of it yet, but you're seeing the improvement. You're seeing a difference. And that's really, really good to see, especially for a run game that was non-existent for the first, what, 4 weeks, 3, 4 weeks?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Those first couple weeks, there was no running game at all.
No. And we're like, okay, is this going to be the worst rushing team in football? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to be an elite rushing team every game for the remainder of the season, but at least it's a sign where you can say, you know what, we can function. We can function on the ground game.
I
And
mean,
that's
what
big.
once you've established the run game, it's it's helpful in a lot of ways. Like right now, it's helping because the passing game has been up and down. If you can bolster it with a strong running game, you can survive the up and down of the run game or the pass game because you're establishing controlling the time of possession. You're moving the ball still. And it's important too because once you get a lead, you can start running the clock down. And the Bears have been great at that so far in these last four games is running the clock out. That's an important skill is how many times, I mean, we saw the the Giants were up big um, and
Hmm.
allowed a comeback.
Hmm.
Cardinals allowed a comeback. If you can control the ball on the ground and take up huge chunks of time on a possession, it is really useful tool to keep your defense fresh, keep the other team from scoring. The less amount of time they have the ball, the less points they can put up. It's a simple logic. And so establishing that run is really important. And that's part of the reason that they stunk so bad in those first two games is they couldn't get a run game going. And then even the first four games they couldn't get a run game going. And what they did was they took that bye week and dissected what's wrong with their run game. And they've changed up some of the blocking. You see them now, they're using a lot of combination, like double teams, taking out that guy that otherwise had been penetrating and getting pressure, and getting the tackle for loss, or redirecting the play. They're taking them out. And then once they've got him out, then somebody peels off and goes to the second level. And now you've got blockers in the second level, and your runs are going for 5+ yards a carry.
Just seeing the line move forward, where you have the ball carrier with the ball in his gut and he's moving forward and the line is pushing forward like a plow. We saw that in several plays today, and it's like, man, we're used to the line getting bullied, getting pushed back. This was different. I mean, you were pushing forward, and even that's a spot where you say, okay, you handed DeAndre Swift up the middle. You might not have a huge hole, but if there is a case where you are just moving the pocket forward, then it's like you're plowing a road. And again, you didn't see much of that before. So that is a really big part. And let's be real. Like we have to be real for a sec here. You needed that run game today because your pass game was particularly off today.
Oh,
It was just
absolutely.
not good. Caleb Williams didn't have a great day at the office, and it just seemed like nothing was in sync.
Nothing. I mean, part of it was, I think, we've discovered a potential room for improvement in Theo Benedette is Chase Young lined up like wide nine. He was wide. And there was a couple times where I think he might have been jumped too soon and they didn't call it. Um, but he was getting off the ball in a hurry, and Theo was having to, basically jump out there, and you saw some pressure getting to Caleb, and he just rushed things. Um, where normally, he's a little more even keeled, and it looked like he was feeling that internal clock going too fast. And when he was able to roll out and break contain, um, the communication, you saw a couple times where he was trying to direct somebody downfield and they weren't doing what he was trying to get them to do. And you saw some errant throws and some throwaways and some, dropped balls. Uh,
What was with Drew Dahlman in some of the snaps today?
that
That
was
was
what I want to talk
bizarre.
about. I don't know what happened. I mean, that one he just held on to.
It's like, I don't want to give it to you,
Yeah, and then he had a double snap. There was a false start.
which
Um,
saved the Bears' ass on that drive.
yeah, I just, I don't know what happened there. Uh, I knowing the Bears, it's gonna be some sort of like weird, like, uh, John Lester throwing to first base type thing.
Yeah, right. And the thing is if it was just the one play early in the game, you say, okay, weird shit happens. The fact that there were multiple snaps like that was just very, very bizarre. And Theo Benedette had what, three penalties against him?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, you were talking about alluding to earlier how they got him to jump a bit and trying to move too quickly. I'm sure they're going to review the hell out of that with him this week at Hallis Hall. because that was noticeable when you were trying to drive, and those penalties can be just huge killers.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately the story is penalties on the Bears, and the offensive penalties were frustrating. The defensive penalties, I think, were kind of bogus. Like
Soft,
they
soft.
that roughing, like
Give me a
what
break.
that was that was the biggest loser penalty I've ever. I mean that was so bad. Um, and I was frustrated on that one play where the Saints got that first down where it was like 3rd and 20 or whatever, 3rd and 27, and they picked up the first down. And I'm like, that's a forward pass. That's a forward pass. And somebody threw a flag, and then they got together and they were like, there's no flag. And I'm like, bullshit. That's a penalty. Thankfully, uh, you saw Ben Johnson just heave that red flag.
Well, in real time, it looked like a very obvious forward pass. And then I saw the replay. I'm like, maybe it's a little closer than I thought, but I wasn't confident still that they were going to overturn it just with the way things go with the Bears. And then it's like, oh, they actually did. So that I mean that was potentially a game altering challenge that went your way. Because if they get that first down, they're near midfield, and it was technically a two-score game, but they would have made it very, very close. It was 23-14 at the time. So that was a very big moment in the game. But again, in real time, it looked like even more of an obvious pass. And like you said, they did throw the flag initially. And I can't help but wonder if they don't throw that flag and Ben Johnson still challenges it, do they overrule it?
Yeah, that they discussed it and decided it wasn't a penalty, which was annoying. But luckily, they Ben Johnson still had a challenge and threw the flag and got that overturned because that was a huge momentum shift.
Yeah, I mean, again, that could have been the difference between a nail biter and them closing it out fairly easily, I'd say.
Yeah, and then there was the one touchdown to Chris Olave where it was blatant false start on the right
Hmm.
tackle, and they didn't call that. Um, there was the holding call on the defensive line on Billings. You're like, what? That how is that a holding? And then like what 2 plays later, he was about to get a sack, and the guy basically tackled him, and they didn't throw a flag on that. And even the announcers were like, ah, Billings is probably saying, why wasn't that a holding call? It was like I don't know where they're finding this officiating, but it's been atrocious.
You know what I think? And this is, I'm going to go back to, I think, an offensive penalty that was very poor. Once again, Colson Loveland fell victim to a call that was just bad. You remember that one, right? Early in the game?
Yep.
The Saint hit the other Saint. I think to the judge on the field, it looked worse than it was. And I just wonder how different NFL officiating would be if they were like calling it from either the booth or like some sort of, I guess, not like a cherry picker, like kind of like one of those tall ladder platforms. I just wonder if they would have an
Like
easier
tennis.
time. Yeah, like tennis. Like you're above the action because I think on mid like if you're midfield on field level, there's a lot of things that can look very different than they do on television.
I'm just picturing the referees in those hydraulic suits that they have like over you can float over the water. I'm just
Yeah.
picturing them like boom flying around.
Yeah, jetpacks.
Uh
But maybe because maybe you have a judge or two on the line on field level, and then you have somebody above the action where they can see penalties in the secondary or holding or whatever. I don't know if that would make it any better or worse because some of the calls are just ridiculous. But again, as bad as that Colson Loveland penalty was, I don't know exactly where the referee was standing, but if you're at a certain angle and you see a guy kind of like collide and fall, and there's some sort of skewed view where it looks like Colson Loveland went into him and hit him, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where they saw it, but you look on the TV, you look on the replay, it's like, no, he literally didn't do anything.
He stopped. He is like, here's the thing, is it's called a natural pick. If Colston Loveland does not initiate contact, which he didn't, he he turned and was positioned to receive the ball. It had been thrown to him, and that's not a penalty. That's not a penalty. There's no way that that is a penalty. That's the same as if the player runs into the referee. It's not a penalty. That's just that's called a natural pick. That's a design to do that. And as long as he doesn't initiate the contact, or, you know, like turn like he's gonna, on a curl route and then suddenly just lunge backwards or something, then it's not a penalty. It's part of the play. And he's positioning himself to receive the ball, and the defender can't go through him. He has to go around him. So that's frustrating. Like, Colston Loveland must have, like, there must be an email going around like, throw a stupid penalty on this guy. We don't like him,
He
because
called us the cotton-headed ninny muggins.
he has been the recipient of so many bad calls this season. It's vomit inducing.
And we've talked about, as many other Bears fans and media have talked about, getting Colson Loveland going. And it's hard when you have back-to-back games where he's called for a really bad ticky-tacky penalty. It does make a difference. I truly believe that with a rookie, with how you're running your offense, if you're able to get him into a rhythm early and those penalties aren't called, might be a different story with him getting more involved.
I mean, I think it also has to do with, the play calling. If if you get yourself a total mismatch where, like, a linebacker on Colson Loveland, and they're going to call ticky tack phantom call, like, you're like, okay, well, I can't call this now because they're going to call it back with a penalty
Exactly. Yep.
because, he, he breathed and the guy fell down. Like, it's tough. But we're going to see more of Colson Loveland because Cole Kmet got injured. And I don't know how serious it is, but he didn't go back in the game, I don't think.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He was
So
ruled out sometime in the second half, and I don't even remember where the injury happened. I just remember seeing, oh, he's out. It's like, oh,
yeah, so we'll start to see more of him, um, taking on that role that Cole Kmet had been playing, assuming that, you know, Kmet is going to be at least limited a little bit.
right, exactly. And I mean, it's not like he was getting that much use to start with in terms of being a pass catcher, but yeah, if Cole Kmet is indeed out going forward, then you're going to have to make some adjustments with that and get Colson Loveland more involved, and hopefully he doesn't get called for any more ticky-tacky penalties.
The injury that really is concerning to me is Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping they just went precautionary, where we're going to hold him out. Um, but they said it's a shoulder, and I don't know how serious it is. But if they lose him for any amount of significant time, phew, it's going to be tough. He's a good
Yeah.
player.
I mean, he's really reinvented himself after the Detroit game because the first two games he was getting absolutely roasted. And then I think Dennis Allen really hammered home, you better step the fuck up or you're going to be out of here. And next thing you know, he's playing very, very well. So yeah, that is a concerning one for sure. Also, how about the Booker situation where it looked like he was going to be activated today and then he wasn't? I know they talked about the slick conditions on the field, so
I
hopefully
think
that tells me he'll be back next week.
my thinking is, and I could be totally wrong, there's nothing official. I think he's ready to go. They didn't think they would need him today. And so why not just give him an extra week? Uh, and then they'll probably evaluate him. If Lamar Jackson plays next week, I have a feeling Austin Booker will play. But if Lamar Jackson doesn't play or is limited, they might even send him another week. I think they want him fully healthy for that that gauntlet of a schedule towards the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there is some validity to that and what they initially said about the slippery turf. I think that maybe those go hand in hand. It's like, all right, if this was against Green Bay or Detroit or the Eagles, then yeah, we might have to live with it, but why risk it if you're playing the Saints? So hopefully that is the case because he practiced in full. Everyone expected him to get activated.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, because he was fully like a full participant in practice
Yep.
on several days. So it was a little bit surprising that he didn't play. But then, it was funny when I saw what the weather was going to be and the opponent. I was like, I wonder if they will play him, and they ended up not. Uh, so he gets another week of rest. I'm I would guess we will see him next week. It's going to be curious of what this Ravens team looks like because they're 1-5 right now. Lamar Jackson's supposed to be back. I don't know how healthy he'll be, but I think even a 75% Lamar Jackson is a dangerous player.
That's going to be tough
Um,
to beat.
and they're a desperate team. So you're going to see them pull all the stops out because they need a victory.
Well, here's the thing is, if you want a chance to beat them regardless, is we saw what Detroit did to them a few weeks ago, where they just pounded the ball against them. And here you have Ben Johnson having back to back successful weeks with the run game. So I feel like you're just going to really have to keep doing that to them. You're going to have to put some points up. You're going to have to run the ball efficiently, and you're going to have to not make big mistakes. I mean, those are the big things that you're going to have to get there. And I mean, with Lamar Jackson, listen, you look today the Bears defense shut the Saints run game down very quickly, very efficiently. Now, obviously, they didn't run the ball very much because they were in a hole and that forced them to pass with Spencer Rattler. But still, the times they did run, they were able to shut them down. They weren't letting Kamara beat them. They weren't letting big plays happen throughout most of the first half until the very end with that big play. So you're going to have to be able to win that line of scrimmage battle if you're going to have a chance to beat them. And I mean, based on everything we're hearing, it's going to be Lamar Jackson playing next week. Obviously, there's a week to go and things have happened, but right now, I have thinking ahead to next week's game. I have Lamar Jackson on my mind as the Bears' opponent.
I'm assuming so, but uh, it's going to be another level of stopping the run, and what they're doing to stop the run these last couple games has been really good. And it's like Dennis Allen got the game ball today, and I think it was deserved.
Yes.
Uh, they're starting to buy into his system, and you're seeing the turnovers come. You're seeing more pressure. You're seeing stopping the run. And stopping the run is really important for all of that. Is because if you're giving up 7 runs a clip, they're not going to get into these passing downs where they're passing deep, unless there's guys that are wide open, and you're not getting those turnovers. You've got to get them in second and long, third and long, fourth and long. You've Then you can start dialing up the pressures. And today you saw so many defensive back blitzes, and
Yes.
it was killing the Saints. Like that. That was just like they had no answer for that.
You saw on one drive both Brisker and Gordon have a sack. And that was such a funny drive because you drove them to like third and 30. And then that roughing the passer on Brisker is called. Again, I think it's weak sauce. Nobody knows what the hell roughing the passer is anymore. but then the ball didn't lie as it was picked off. And hey, you know what the Bears said? We want 4 turnovers. How many turnovers did the Bears get today?
Four
Four.
turnovers.
They got 4 turnovers. They got a fumble recovery on the first drive, which, hey, we're seeing Montez Sweat again actually do something. That's nice. And Kevin Byard, man, it's like every week he's getting an interception. He should have had two today.
Yeah, so 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and then the number I really love seeing, 7 tackles for loss.
Yeah, that was
And
really big.
Tremaine Edmonds, 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He had a big game today.
Yeah, including the game's what was essentially the game sealing interception.
Uh, and you gave up 44 rushing yards total, 36 by running backs.
Mm-hmm.
The longest run you gave up was 7 yards.
Yeah, they bottled that up very, very efficiently.
Um, so that was huge. And then you had over 200 yards on the ground, which was also huge. Um, Jake Moody, 4 for 4 from field goals. You didn't ask him to
Yeah,
kick anything long, but those conditions sucked. You saw the Saints miss a field goal. Those conditions sucked. It was windy and wet.
yeah, and it was cooler. I mean, when you think about it, Jake Moody's had to come in, a guy who got cut by San Francisco for struggling, and he came in and played really effectively in 2 games in which you did not have ideal kicking conditions. They were both outdoors, they were both wet. This one was a little bit windier. The first one was on the road. You got to give him a lot of credit. And yes, like you said, you weren't kicking 55 plus yarders with him today, but you know what? For a guy that struggled, you just need to get the kicks no matter where they are, and he got them.
Yep. Um, Non-Bears related, but tangentially related to the Bears. Jaden Daniels got another injury today. Um, so
Yeah,
that's
against the Cowboys.
two injuries so far this season, missing multiple games. This is the reason when people were like, "Oh, maybe Jaden Daniels should be number one overall." I was like, talent wise, absolutely, but the way he plays and his body size, I was very concerned about injuries and long term health that he has. And year two, we're starting to see it. We're starting to see that chip away, and um, that's been my concern all along. It is not the talent. It is not his ability at all. It is the availability.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see how severe this one is because what, the first injury, he missed 2 games?
Two or two, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was two. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, it's one of those things where that type of QB play, it is risky. I mean, it's amazing that Lamar Jackson has held up the way he has, but hey, Lamar Jackson's
He
also an athletic freak.
he's also like thicker build. I mean,
Yeah,
not
yes.
not. I mean, Jaden Daniels has got a small frame. I mean, small for NFL standards. Like regular person stands next to him, they're going to be like, yeah, this guy's jacked. But based on NFL, he's built like a wide receiver. Uh, Lamar Jackson is built more like a running back. Um, more, so he's able to take that. And plus, Lamar Jackson doesn't get the contact every time. He's running out of bounds. He's sliding. Jaden Daniels initiates contact a lot, and um, I thought they would try to coach that out of him, and they haven't quite yet. But now he's starting to get these soft tissue injuries. That's the more concerning. I was concerned about being hit, but
Like rib
hamstring,
injuries and
rib
yeah.
injuries, and concussions, and shoulder injuries, and but the soft tissue is no bueno.
No, so yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with him. I mean, the thing is, when you look at where the Commanders are right now, yeah, obviously you lost against the Bears last week. You got killed by the Cowboys. This is where a season can go off the rails really quickly. So, you know, depending on how long he's out, Marcus Mariota is going to have to go back in there. And if he can't keep them afloat and he misses a few games, I mean, what do you do? Do you want to risk it? But if they're in it, which they very well could be, then obviously you're going to play him. It's just going to be interesting to see if he is out for the next few weeks, how the Commanders respond, how they go about it, because again, you can make or break your season over the next few weeks.
What would happen if after a walk-off last second loss to the Bears, um, they went on a 10-game losing streak?
Has that ever happened to a team between the Bears and the Commanders?
Uh, it would be it would be funny. It would be funny.
Ultimate revenge.
Um, yeah. So next week we got the Ravens, and that Ravens defense is terrible. They're
Like I said,
dreadful.
run the ball. Run the
Run
ball.
run the ball and get yourself into and short, third and short, and be efficient in your passing. I think they're going to try to gear up and stop the run. You're going to have single coverage guys. Is be efficient with your passing. I don't I don't think they need to hit these deep strikes, but hit those 15, 20 yarders, and then they're gonna have to back. You're gonna force them to back off 8 men in the box, and then you're gonna be able to run that ball again. And that's get the keep the ball away from Lamar Jackson.
Yep. Yep. I
Do you know when the last time the Bears beat the Ravens in regulation time?
In regulation, I remember they beat them in overtime a few times in 2017 and 2013, but regulation. Oh, was it like 2005 or something?
October 23rd, 2005. They
Wow.
they won 10-6.
Yeah. No, wasn't that a day after the Sox won the No, the Sox won the 22nd, never mind. Or the 26th. Never mind. But yeah, I don't know why, but I have vivid memories of that game because like I rewatched it recently and it was ugly as hell, but like 90% of those 2005 games were. But yeah, no, that's wow, that's a long time. I remember I think it no, it was 2013. That was the weather delay game when they won in overtime and it was all muddy and wet and there was tornado warnings. Do you remember the frickin' game, like the end of the Matt Nagy era, when that rookie or was it Willis that came in? Remember Lamar Jackson was out because he was sick, and the Bears ended up losing that game.
Oh, who was the quarterback?
You remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, it was another African American quarterback that was athletic.
Oh, why? Who was it? But if you remember that game, Justin,
Tyler Huntley?
was it Tyler Huntley?
I think it was Tyler Huntley.
I mean, that sounds right.
That's who I think it was.
Sounds right. Couldn't tell you for sure, but I just remember the Bears having a small lead, then blowing it, and then I think it was Justin Fields went out because he was hurt, and then Andy Dalton came in, and then Andy Dalton threw that fourth down like miracle pass in the final minute of the game to give the Bears the lead, and then they frickin' blew it defensively, and that's when the fire Nagy chants started raining out. That was the end. That right there was the official end of the Nagy era. It was that game.
Again, is that game is David Montgomery was running okay, and you just didn't run the ball enough. It was The game was 16-13. Why? It was a 3-point deciding factor. Why don't you run the ball more? That was the epitome of why Matt Nagy was hated so much. Is everybody from the beat writers to the fans to the announcers to the national media to the Brian Baldingers who are just on their Twitter accounts. Everybody's like, yeah, you need to run the ball. And is Matt Nagy was always smarter than everybody else and wasn't going to do it. And or he would do it for one game and then just go back to what he was going to do. And you're like, there's a reason you got run out of town. And there's a reason who a real coach like Ben Johnson is so adamant that he's going to run the ball because you need to run the ball to win in the NFL. Even even with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid winning Super Bowls, look at how important their running game is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got to run the ball to win in the NFL. No matter how high powered offense you have, you can't win if you don't run the ball. The only times that ever was even challenged was Bill Belichick and the Patriots. But they didn't do traditional running the ball. They would use short passes as their version of the running game.
And to be fair, towards the end of the Brady era, you saw them run the ball a bit more efficiently, more traditionally, a little bit more towards the end. But yeah, I mean, there was a defining time in their history where they just had their own scheme and their own approach to things. But look at last year. Remember when you were reading stats last year about how the top offenses were also among the most efficient in ground game?
Mm-hmm.
Like they coincided. I feel like last year we really saw the run game come back into play, and that's why we wanted to emphasize so hard on being better at running the ball this year with Ben Johnson. And even when it wasn't working early, we saw him keep trying to do it because he was trying to get it to work. And in the last few weeks, you've seen much, much better results.
And I talked during the draft that was like, man, I would really like the Bears to get Quinshawn Judkins. Um, did you watch any or see any of the highlights of the Browns Dolphins?
I saw a few lowlights from the Dolphins.
Um, you know, is even with that bad Browns line, Quinshawn Judkins broke off a 46-yard run.
Yeah.
Uh, you're like, man, that would be nice to have that home run speed. I like Monungai from Stupid Rutgers.
Stupid Rutgers.
But man, he does not have the breakaway speed.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, today you were able to see him go up the middle and have some nice games. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to win a foot race with DeAndre Swift.
Um, Surprisingly, the guy that I really liked coming out of the draft that was tearing everything up in the preseason has done doo-doo nothing in the regular season is Travion Henderson.
Yeah, and I think there were a lot of people that took him in fantasy that were very high on him, and they're like, huh, what the hell?
Like today, he got 2 carries for 5 yards.
Ugh.
Uh, just yeah, I was like, oof, yeah. But I mean, it's rookie year. We you can't judge teams or players on 5 games into their rookie career.
Yep, very true.
But yeah, I mean, Baltimore is basically a team that had Super Bowl aspirations going into this season, and their record doesn't indicate who they are. Their defense is bad. You've got to take advantage. You can't let them be in this game. Um, because the minute you open the door for them, they're uh they're gonna um you know jump through it.
And we'll see how the injuries look on defense.
We will see how the injuries look.
Will Tyreek
Um,
Stevenson be okay? Remember when Wright hit Kevin Byard? Is he
yep.
going to be okay?
I mean, Wright came back in.
He did, but you never know if something flares up from that. It looked pretty nasty initially.
Um, I mean, it it looked to me more like uh he might have gotten the wind knocked out of him or some cramps or maybe hamstring or something. The way that they had him on the ground and then they moved him to the bicycle. Um, I was like, I wasn't that worried about him uh coming back. It didn't look, based on the hit, I was like, ooh. But then based on the way that they were working on him, they were kind of moving his legs around and um you know, and then he got to go on the bicycle. I was like, okay, I'm not that worried.
Yeah, hopefully it is nothing.
Um, but Baltimore this season so far, they they went into a shootout with the Bills and that game one. Um, and you're like, okay, this might be the AFC Championship matchup later on. And then they blew the barn doors off the Browns. You're like, okay, these are the Browns or the Ravens that we're expecting. Uh, they played tough against the Lions. They got stomped by the Chiefs. Where the thing started to go off the rail is they got the barn doors knocked off by the Texans, and then they lost bad to the Rams, and I guess that was without Lamar. This team is much different with Lamar Jackson.
Yes, it is. I mean, he's their entire identity, him and Derrick Henry. And, those are two of the best offensive weapons in football. And there are so many different things you could do with Lamar Jackson because he's able to run, because he's able to scramble. And, you tailor your game plan to having both those options in there. I mean, they don't just say, oh, run when you have to, Lamar. Like, he is part of that game plan. And he can make you look pretty foolish if you think he's going to pass and he runs or vice versa.
Um, yeah, so I mean, uh, it's likely he'll play, um, and if he does, then you have a night and day different team. Night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be real. We need Caleb Williams to be better next week.
Yes,
No matter how
has
much
to
you
be.
run the ball, no matter what you do in terms of your passing game plan, you need to see better from him.
Um, yeah, we absolutely. The defensive line has to be on point like they have the last 2 weeks in shutting
Yes.
down the run.
Yes.
Uh, they're going to have to be better about containing the quarterbacks because letting Spencer Rattler, uh, run is a lot different than letting Lamar Jackson run.
Very, 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 very different.
I mean, my fingers are crossed that we get Cooper Rush.
Oh God. That then you're all of a sudden saying, wow.
If you gear up to play against Lamar Jackson and you get Cooper Rush, you come in there strutting. Like, oh yeah, here we go.
That turns into like a must-win game if you're playing Cooper Rush at quarterback.
Yeah, that changes the whole calculus of it. Is if Cooper Rush is playing, you fully expect to dominate that game. If Lamar Jackson comes in, then you better play your ass off because that is a night and day different team. If you look at that team the first 2 weeks, that offense was cooking.
Hmm. Yeah, the defense was letting them down, but they were putting the points on the board.
I mean, they dropped 40 and 41 the first 2 weeks. Um, and even even that week, they scored 30 in week 3, and that was a loss, but that was a defense. Lamar Jackson had 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 148.
Hmm.
um,
There's a reason he's won multiple MVPs.
yeah, yep.
Even though he is flawed and some of those big moments seem to be a little too big, overall, he's won multiple MVPs for a reason.
Yeah. What you have to do is you have to go into watch that Chiefs game and see what they did to Lamar. Like
Right.
they held him down. Um, I think is that the game he got hurt?
Uh, I think so.
It must have been because he didn't play at all the next week. So it must have
Right.
been that Chiefs game he got hurt. But you've got to watch um what they did in there because his numbers weren't very good. Uh, and cross your fingers is and you know what? You know, man, the Ravens, I if Lamar is anywhere close to healthy, he's gonna play because they've got a really winnable schedule. Like they can bounce back really quickly. Listen to their schedule after the bye. Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers.
Yeah, a lot of winnable games in there.
They very well, with Lamar Jackson, could run the table. I mean, Dolphins are terrible. Vikings don't look that good. The Browns are bad. The Jets are awful. They
They
benched
benched
Justin
Justin
Fields.
Fields. Ah, jinx. Yeah,
And you
see?
and you know what? Is Justin Fields good? No, but that whole offense is broken because um, Tyrod Taylor came in and looked worse than Justin Fields.
Yeah, no,
That
that's a mess over there.
that offense is broken. Um, the Bengals will still probably be without Joe Burrow, but they've got Joe Flacco now. Still,
He's not doing bad over there.
Joe Flacco is. I'm gonna say this, and it people are gonna it's gonna break people's brains. I think, and I'm probably gonna get crap for it. But if you blind people to their names, Joe Flacco is better than Eli Manning career wise.
I can't necessarily argue with that.
Um, and I think Joe Burrow is. I'm sorry, Joe Burrow. I think Joe Flacco is a pretty darn good quarterback, and he's infinitely better than that. You know, pile of mush that they had playing quarterback when Joe Burrow went down.
Yeah, that poor kid, he had no chance. It was really, 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 really tough when he was in there. And I mean, listen, there have been several times over the past few years where Joe Flacco looked done. It's like, all right, that's it. And then he'll come back to another team. It's like, holy shit, there's Joe Flacco playing well. So I give the Bengals credit for going out there and I get it. You had to do something because that was absolutely disastrous. But you could have gone in a number of other directions. And you might have. And am I saying the Bengals are going to go on a heater? No. Impressive as hell win against the Steelers the other night, but at least, hey, he came in and so far he's looked competent. Is it going to stay that way? I don't know. I mean, Joe Flacco is 40 years old and you have a certain playbook that could do certain things with a guy that age, but give him credit for playing the way he's played so far there. Because being a smart veteran like Joe Flacco, being able to come into a new system, new playbook, even if it is a bit simplified because he's older, not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, he came in and how long was he there? A couple of days, learned the playbook enough to win a game.
Yeah, yeah. And even in the loss against Green Bay, like it's like, okay, he kept you in it. Obviously, some of his guys made some big catches, but he still kept you in the game, gave you a chance.
Yeah, Joe Flacco threw for 340 yards, three touchdowns, no interceptions in in beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They scored 33 points. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you were playing Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers is ancient too, but it's like, man, the it's the retirement home of epicness.
Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco combined for 7 touchdown passes that game.
And they're combined like what, 80 some years old?
Yeah. I started laughing like, oh, he's exaggerating. I'm like, no, I don't think he is.
Oh, they're both like 40, so you
Yeah.
put them together.
Aaron Aaron Rodgers age. He's 41. How old is Joe Flacco? He's 40. They are combined 81 years old. You are
Yeah.
correct. They are combined age to run for president. Uh so um yeah, the calculus keeps changing on how the Bears schedule is starting to look as we go forward. Um
Well, it really does go to show you the NFL is a week to week game.
It really is. Like, anytime that we are dumb enough, mostly 99% me, starting to look at the schedule going forward, it's uh, you know, it changes so much. I mean, after that Lions game, we looked forward and we're like, where's the next win for the Bears? I mean, are we gonna find more than 3 wins? And now they're on a 4 game heater. And
Hmm.
they, they beat several teams now where they were not favored to win. Um, Today wasn't one of those, but the Ravens next week, uh, if they beat Lamar Jackson, that that changes their whole outlook. Um, but the Bengals game looked like just a gimme, as big of a gimme as on their schedule. But now that they have Joe Flacco, you're like, okay, that's not a gimme anymore because
No.
they're a team that has a real NFL quarterback.
And sure, you could dial up your defensive scheme to dominate, but it's not a gimme by any means.
Yeah, the Giants game a couple weeks ago looked like that was going to be another gimme, but Jackson Dart is looking good.
That guy might be a dude. I know they just had a devastating loss today, but Jackson Dart might be a dude.
And we're going to be up against Cam Scatabo.
That's going to be just absolutely driving you bonkers.
Uh,
You're going to
the
be meatballing every time he gets the ball.
and then we've got the rematch against the Vikings.
Who's going to be quarterback?
Who knows? Who knows? The Steelers, like, are we going to be able to finally beat Aaron Rodgers?
Here's the thing is, no matter what the year is, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who's on the Steelers, are they going to win every game? Obviously not. But there's never a game you go up against the Steelers and you're like, wow, we're 100% going to win this. That's just the nature of playing Mike Tomlin and the Steelers.
Yeah. Then you go to the Eagles. That's a real tough game. Even though the Eagles don't look great, they're they're a good team.
Oh, I
Um,
mean, going to Philadelphia, it doesn't matter if they're hot or they're cold. It is insanely hard to go and win in Philadelphia these days.
then you go right from Philadelphia to Green Bay, and that uh
It's always an uphill battle for you.
They're gonna have to give Theo Benedict help
Yeah.
because uh today he just dominated things.
Hmm.
Um, the Browns aren't very good. Pretty confident about that. But then you get the Packers again, the 49ers, and then you end the season with the Lions.
Oh, Sean, you just said, here I am looking ahead at the schedule like an idiot. Proceeds ahead to look at the schedule like an idiot.
Listen, I recognize my limitations as an idiot. Uh, I'm just saying is, this is this schedule changes week by week, especially these next two games. You know, a couple weeks ago you were like, "Oh, Lamar Jackson's got to be hurt and Joe Burrow's still out." And then Lamar Jackson might be back and the Bengals got Joe Flacco and throwing for 350 yards and three touchdowns and perfect quarterback rating and yeah, okay. All right. Let's uh let's dial this all back. It's week by week.
Yes.
Baltimore this week.
The
Fingers
only
crossed.
thing you should be thinking about this week is the Ravens.
And fingers crossed we get Cooper Rush because if we get Cooper Rush, we should win.
You would hope,
You
yes.
would hope you don't lose to Cooper Rush. If Lamar Jackson is back, and honestly, the way people are talking is even if he comes back, he's not going to be 100%. But 100, less than 100% Lamar Jackson is still an elite quarterback.
Well, right now, I'm trying to look because I'm just, have they said that it's more than likely? I mean, again, I said earlier in the show that I expect Lamar Jackson to play. Where are they at right now with where the outlook is?
Um, I, I I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody knows yet because they're on the bye, so they didn't have to do an injury report this week, so we won't
Oh,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but Kadre Ismail, who's a former Golden Domer, and he's got a Locked On Ravens podcast, and um, he was talking about, you know, the injury. He doesn't know. Um, so, but he's more concerned about their offensive line.
Which, hey, if you want to get pressure, regardless of who's in there, you got to take advantage of that too. Like I said, you got to win in the trenches.
Uh, Stanley might be back at left tackle, and if that's the case, Derrick Henry might be able to run the ball better. Um, I I have no idea.
We'll see.
Let's see, hon. From SB Nation, the latest on Baltimore's injuries. Uh, they expect Lamar Jackson and Roquan Smith to return.
Yeah. Like I said, it's probably going to be them in there.
Um, Outside linebacker Tavius Robinson will be out. Um, dun, 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 dun. Adissa Isaac, the outside linebacker, is likely out. Um, Unknown about their fullback.
Fullbacks are people too.
Uh,
I mean,
Awuzie, their
really,
cornerback, is expected to be back. Um, so their defense is still going to be rough shape, but if their offensive, if Stanley's back and Jackson's back, uh, that offense is going to be cooking.
yep, yep,
Gonna have to send. You're gonna have to. What did Lamar Jackson have? A hammy? Was wrong?
I believe so.
Um, you got to hope that it's still a little tender and they're not gonna want to risk it. Uh, and send in those blitzers. Send in the blitzers.
Gonna do some more nickel blitzing with Kyler Gordon because
That's
that is a thing of beauty.
yes. That I mean, and Jaquan Brisker.
Like I said, they both had sacks on the same defensive drive.
You'd love to see it. Um, should we talk a little Blackhawks?
Yeah, that's besides the Bears, they're the next talk of the town right now.
Yeah, they are, and they're winning 1-0 in
Frank
tonight's game.
Nazar just scored.
Yeah, I was watching that game earlier. Um, I, their record's not very good, but they look like an actual NHL team.
Well, I think it's safe to say the fan base was as hype as it's been in a long time when they thrashed the Blues 7-3.
Yeah, that was an ass kicking. They look great that game.
They
And
looked great and all the kids looked great.
that first period against Vancouver might have been their best period of the season.
Where the
Um,
hell was that goalie interference towards the end on Bertuzzi?
uh, right along with the roughing the passer on the Bears game.
And many other calls. Yeah. We want to talk about how bad some of the calls were in the Bears games. That call in the Blackhawks game where Tyler Bertuzzi's goal was called back, what could have very well been the game-winning goal was just tragic. It was there was nothing there. And you reviewed it. They challenged it. You reviewed it. How do you look at that and say, "Yep, goalie interference"? I don't
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, that was really frustrating. Um, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. Um, this team is this team is all about building the young players up. You're not expecting them to make the playoffs or anything. It's
But
just
boy, you like
frustrating.
it is, but you like the energy from this team, even when they're getting dominated.
Yeah, they look good and the goalie looks good. It's a weird situation today. He just randomly lost his stick. It looked like he just threw it. What the hell happened there? And then nobody helped him get his stick back. Even the announcer's like, somebody should tell these young kids that they can pick up the stick and give it to them. They just can't make a play with two sticks. You're like, yeah, it was a couple of guys tried to tap it back to him, but they tapped it like 2 feet. And you're like, no, you're like way away from him. Like you're like close to the blue line. You got to really whack that stick and get it back to him.
Yeah, very
Um,
odd, but you're seeing a lot of these kids grow. You're seeing Bedard grow. You're seeing Frank Nazar do things. I mean, even Ryan Green had his first career goal the other night in St. Louis. And not only that, but our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs, among the top scorers in the AHL are Lardis and Moore. And I think it's just a matter of time before Ollie Moore gets more taste of the NHL.
oh, he's absolutely going to get a nice little taste. And I don't expect a lot from him, coming up. He's young, coming up from the AHL. It's more going to be get to experience.
Absolutely. And you know what? That type of experience goes a long way. Even if there isn't a lot of production there, I would rather see growing pains from another kid than some other random veteran.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously you want to see the kids play. That's everything this season is get better with the young kids getting better.
And you know what? I'm going to say this too. I've been impressed with some of the plays like what Wyatt Kaiser does, and I really like Alex Vlasic. We focus a lot on the goal scoring. We want to look at some of the improvements on the defense too, which has a long way to go before being contending good. But sometimes when you see the little things, you're like, okay, just keep building on that.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it's about. And we went from a couple seasons ago where they had no young defensemen because every guy that they drafted didn't pan out.
Yeah. Ian
And
Mitchell and a lot of those guys.
and now you're like, okay, we've got quite a bit of talent here. And now it's just It's just getting them the experience and gelling together.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to say this too. Shout out to Connor Bedard for it doesn't seem like much maybe to a casual fan, but for going on that national broadcast on the post-game show and saying, we don't want to win in 3 years, we want to win right now. I mean, that's how you build a winning culture. And even if you know you're not going to win that many games this year and you're just a young team that's trying to get things together and trying to grow, you want that type of outlook. It's like, we don't want to plan to start winning years in the future. We want to win every game right now.
Yeah. And honestly, you just look at the games. They've been in pretty much every game except that second game against the Blues. And they came back and kicked the shit out of the Blues 8-3, like less than 2 weeks later. It that they've got a couple of they got an overtime game, they've got a shootout game, a bunch of one loss or 1 point loss games. Like they're in these games, like they're there, and you expect them to, as the season goes, get a little better. A long way to go to be a contender or even to make the playoffs, but you're getting there. And this system, I don't know how long term how good this coach is going to be, but they're responding.
Well, and I think the other thing too is you're seeing some of the very marginal things with like Connor Bedard grow. Some of the passing is getting better. He's been better physically. I mean, he's kind of getting in there and chirping a little bit, and you kind of like to see it because you're seeing a guy who's not going to accept being bullied around. And he's never going to be an enforcer or a big guy that's going to get into a lot of fights, but you saw him early in his career as a young 18-year-old kid, kind of getting pushed around like a rag doll a number of times. And the fact that he's able to be a bit feistier and kind of get in their face a little bit more, you like to see it.
I mean, you need to see it. There's just that's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
You've gotta be more physical in there if you want to have a successful long career.
Yeah. But I mean, it's part of growing.
Yeah.
We knew that it wasn't going to be like that right away. He was 18 years old. But you're seeing that start to come together now. And I don't know if it's a combination what the ratio is of coaching and just being physically bigger and better and stronger and conditioning, but you got to think that this new coaching staff is helping him bring along in that area.
I mean, y you'd think so.
Because I mean, let's face it, right now, we're not looking at Jeff Blashill to be the savior of the franchise right now, but he's a key part in bringing this franchise forward. So you got to look for the value everywhere you can get it and see where the building is coming from. Because I feel like they got so passive under Luke Richardson, and then you just had somebody from the AHL that I like him on the bench. I like Sorensen on the bench, but to be a head coach, it just it didn't feel like the fire was there. And that's not really a knock on him because he was thrown into this, but I think that having a guy like Blashill who does have some NHL experience kind of can help grow some of these areas where he knows he's grown other players before.
Yeah. I mean, Blashill might be our like the Blackhawks Ricky Renteria.
It's kind of how I look at it.
Um, so it's is he the guy? I don't know. But um he's helping this team, this young team get better. And that's all that really matters right now.
Exactly.
Um Not too much Bulls to talk about. The season hasn't quite started yet, but um Yuki got waived. with some sort of medical issue. Poor Yuki.
Poor Yuki.
I don't know how much people really expected a 5'8" player to to be able to impact this team, but um, I wonder once whatever this quote medical condition is, if they bring him back at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Um, but yeah, the season is starting pretty soon. I just had this schedule up and
Well, they've been playing
closed them.
preseason, and I think people are excited about year two of Montes Buzelis. I think that's one thing to watch out for.
Um, yeah, I mean he's been playing great uh in the preseason. I don't know how that's going to translate. I've talked to a few people just randomly about the Bulls, and I was like, Matas looks good, and and they just look at me side eyed. I think they're just ready for you know the Bulls to suck once the regular season starts.
Oh, I am too. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not even that emotionally invested in the Bulls this upcoming season, and it's a shame because if you had some other legit players around Montes Buzelis or had some sort of an outlook that I could easily get behind, I would be, even if they weren't going to be winning a championship this year. But it's like, I'm sitting here, what's the point? What are we going to win? 35, 40 games at the most? I don't know if we'll win 40, maybe mid upper 30s. What are we going to just do it again? It's just
Um,
hard for me to emotionally invest right now. I have to be completely honest.
I don't plan to emotionally invest. I'm just going to watch and try to enjoy around Blackhawks games. They start on Wednesday against the Pistons. Um, I just don't have a lot of expectations there.
No.
You know, it could things change if you have a couple players make a big step up. Yeah, but I think Vooch is making a rapid descent into, retirement. He's looked terrible in the preseason, which does not bode well for you. If you see a nice ascent from Matas, uh, all right, maybe that makes you more interesting. Um,
I guess.
so I mean, if Matas ends up being good, that at least makes it fun, even if they're bad. Um, you know, I don't. I mean, what if the Giddy Matas, tandem looks good? They're not going to be a good defensive team. This is going to be this is
When were
going to
they ever?
this is going to be a team that scores a lot of points if they win. Um, as can be told, their last game, 126-120. Uh, but you saw a lot of people scoring double digits. Carter and Collins and Phillips uh and Smith and Matas and Giddy. Like um it's just the weakness there is this team has no defense and can't shoot three-pointers consistently.
Nah. Just meh. That's all I got. That's all I got.
And
Wow, they just posted. So NHL just posted this amazing photo of Frank Nazar celebrating his goal. Remember
who
the
did?
one from the other night in St. Louis when there was the dog pile and he was celebrating like the gladiator? Well,
Yeah.
it kind of is. I mean, there wasn't a dog pile this time, but it's a pretty great photo. I just retweeted it.
So there's not a lot of baseball to talk right now. We're kind of post-mortem. Uh
No, but I want to say this is
F the Brewers.
yes, yes, the Brewers are gone. They got swept. Shohei Ohtani, I think had the greatest postseason performance in the history of baseball in that clinching game four. I'm at the point where I am comfortable and accepting the closing the book on the 25 Cubs. I really am because it took a few days to really shake that sad feeling. Because whenever you lose a close series, there's always that feeling of, did we miss an opportunity? But
I mean,
what the Dodgers just did to the Brewers,
had the Cubs done a few things differently in the season and ended up winning the division, they probably, if they get the home field, they probably beat the Brewers, but they weren't beating the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a playoff juggernaut.
they are a historic playoff team right now. I mean, did you see the pitching lines for their starters? You had Blake Snell and Yamamoto throw a complete game, and then Tyler Glasnow, and
Last
then
now,
there's Shohei Ohtani, absolutely dominated for 6 innings. You think the Cubs are going to fare much better? Probably not. Could the Cubs have maybe won a game at Wrigley? Sure, but do you think they were winning that series? Most likely not.
yeah, no way. Maybe they sneak a game, but they were not winning that series. Was it obvious shirts that had made a shirt that said Milwaukee but put it with four L's in it?
Yes. Hey, they flew the L flag and then they didn't win a game after that.
And then they
So,
flew the L flag four more times after that.
yep.
Uh,
So that rivalry is alive and well, that's for sure. Don't let anybody tell you it's not a rivalry. It's a rivalry, and it's one of the biggest in the National League right now.
yeah. So the Dodgers now are at home, just licking their lips, waiting for the World Series to start. And the American League Championship Series is a real series.
Yeah, unless the Mariners come back tonight looking like 7 games.
I mean, they came back the other night.
Well, right now it's 4-0 Blue Jays.
Yeah, but the Mariners came back the other night.
But they've
Uh,
also wasted 2 bases loaded, 1 out opportunities.
yeah, this series is really good. Um, yeah, I was trying to explain to my mother-in-law because for my birthday every year, the last couple of years, she's taken me to a Cubs game.
Hmm.
And we went to see them play the Mariners this year. And it was the game the Mariners hit like 87 home runs. And before the game started, I was like, it's a warm game. The wind is blowing out. We are going to see a ton of home runs. I just didn't expect them all to be from the Mariners. And and she's like, are the Mariners any good? So now I tried to explain it to her. I'm like, yeah, there's a very good chance they could go to the World Series. Um, so yeah, they were a good team. But Cal Raleigh continues in the postseason. What he did in the regular season is crushing baseballs. And um, he's been a huge part of this run. And the Blue Jays got a good team. I'm my fingers are crossed for Blue Jays versus Dodgers World Series. I
I'm rooting for the Mariners, but I think if you're going to take down the Dodgers, it kind of feels like the Blue Jays have a bit more firepower spread out to do so.
Yeah, I mean there are some guys that don't hit baseballs on the Mariners. And the Blue Jays, I think, just have a more diverse lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. The Mariners are a really good team, but Cal Raleigh has really brought them to where they are now.
Yeah. Did you see there was like this cartoon and it had like this cartoon face and it was like how we're the Blue Jays. We have the entire Canadian nation behind us. And they're like, our catcher's got a big butt.
Yeah. Well, both are true.
I just laughed way too hard at that. I'm like a 6-year-old.
Both are
But
true.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Even if the Blue Jay, I don't have any ill will against either of those American League teams. Like I'm indifferent. I kind of like the Blue Jays. I'm indifferent to the Mariners. I like Cal Raleigh. Um, I just hope that it goes to 7 games for free baseball. Um, but I'm ready for the World Series.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel less and less bad about the Cubs season ending because I think now looking back, and I'll echo what other people have said, I think they hit their ceiling. A good enough team to make a sort of a run, but not get to the finish. Doesn't that sound fair? Doesn't that seem to align with what the Cubs are?
Let me ask you this. I don't disagree with you, but I'm gonna ask a couple questions to see how it changes your stance. What if they had a healthy Justin Steele all season?
Yeah, I think you might have won, maybe win the division, maybe.
What about if you had a healthy Kyle Tucker all season long?
Then I think you have an even better chance to win the division.
And so if you had those two players healthy the whole season, uh take the Dodgers out of the equation. Take every American League and National League. Take every other playoff team. Do you feel they could have been competitive with any non-Dodger playoff team?
Probably.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it is they hit a ceiling. Absolutely. And they've got a lot of work to do, but there's they're not that far away. They've got to get you've got to get PCA much closer to the start of the year rather than the end of the year. And he's got to be more consistent. You can't have these wild ebbs and flows. Um, you you're gonna have to figure out how to replace that Kyle Tucker bat in your lineup because he's
He's
not gonna be
gone.
back. He's gone.
He's gone.
Um, and based on the postseason wrap up, how much longer is Shota going to be on this team?
That gets a little complicated. I don't know if you read about that, but there's like you could get this option. If he declines this option, then you can do a qualifying offer. So that's not as black and white as maybe we initially thought.
Um,
I still putting money on him being back next year, but I know it's not as black and white as, oh, he's got a team option, they'll just pick him up. It's not quite that simple.
no, but I just wonder. Um, it doesn't sound like he's a long term answer for the Cubs. Um,
I just don't think he's a top of the rotation guy. I think you could still have him on your team. You could still have him in your rotation as a 3 or a 4, but I wouldn't put him as a 1 or a 2.
no, you can't. I mean, and you shouldn't have to. So it's the reports are starting to come out that Justin Steele might be healthy by opening game. I think that's
We'll
optimistic.
see. We'll
Um,
see.
but if you have a healthy Justin Steele and Cade Horton continues to play like he did at the end of the season, um, you that's a good start of your rotation.
It is. There's also, really quick while I'm thinking about it, there was also one factor that I think gets overlooked. You didn't have Miguel Amaya for much of the season either.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Miguel Amaya. I don't know how much you can count on him long term for being healthy. He hasn't been
His
healthy in the
injury history
minors,
sucks. Yeah.
like in the minors and the majors, like just not. not good.
No, I know. It's a long history of injuries, but man, he is so good with runners in scoring position. And what did
Uh,
we miss a lot in the second half? Hitting with runners in scoring position.
right. Uh, I'm. Let's just throw this out there. What if the Cubs went out and got Dylan Cease, and your rotation is Justin Steele, Cade Horton, Dylan Cease, Jamison Tyone, Shota is your five.
I mean, on paper, that looks pretty good.
On paper, that looks real good.
It's just, sometimes there are consistency issues with Dylan Cease, and we don't really know how effective Justin Steele's going to be right after he comes back from injury.
Cy
So on,
Young. Cy Young.
well, well, I mean, hey, it's injuries like the ones Justin Steele have aren't the death sentence they once were, and we have seen guys come back even stronger after procedures, so you never know.
No, honestly, I expect Cade Horton to be your number one, regardless of who they go after. But I think they're going to take the Kyle Tucker money and they're gonna invest in pitching.
As long as you reinvest it wisely.
I just wish the Ricketts would stop being cheap assholes. That you
Well,
make money hand over fist. Go the Dodgers route and just like whatever, whatever. And um, it's you know, people talk shit on the Dodgers for spending all this money, but they took on guys that other teams were willing to cast off.
that's true.
Is Shohei, the his old team didn't give him the contract he wanted. Okay, so then he moved on. Mookie Betts, the Red Sox didn't want to pay him, so they traded him. Uh, Freddie
Shame
Freeman,
on the Red Sox, man. Just shame on them for doing that.
yeah, and Freddie Freeman, the Braves didn't want to pay him. All right, Dodgers will pay him. Uh, Snell and Glass now,
Hmm.
the Rays didn't want to pay him. All right, well then we'll pay. Like it's these guys, like they're available. They're just um, you know, the Dodgers are willing to pay them. I know some people are going to use the Dodgers as why there should be a salary cap. I'm going to use the Dodgers as why there should be a salary floor.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Is I think I think the current system of how the soft cap, I guess I'll call it in baseball, where there's luxury tax and um it impacts some of your uh your international pool, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think that's fine. Just, I think they should put a salary floor in. Some of these cheap ass teams spend money. Spend money. Then guess what? When they spend money, then the Dodgers can't get all those players.
Yeah, I mean, here the one thing that bothers me about the Dodgers still is the whole defer thing. And I know deferral has been a thing for a long time, but to defer
They're being so bad with it.
the amount that's being deferred and not counted towards the sal like the luxury tax, I think that's bullshit. That's what bothers me. Listen, if you want to go out and spend $1 billion on all these players, have them on your payroll, God bless you. But the Shohei Ohtani deferral stuff, I think that's a little bullshit. But that's just me.
Yeah, when honestly, I think I know people are talking about the strike that's looming, and I think it's on every baseball fan's front of their mind. Um, but I don't think it has to be so bad. I agree with you. We should the deferrals need to stop. At least the blatantness of it. Um,
They just
you know,
or not having counted against certain things. I just there needs to be some sort of regulation. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, that the deferrals needs to be more strongly regulated. You need to put a salary floor in, and then keep the system in place. I think that seems like a really fair, you know, like the like that seems like a compromise for everybody.
Hmm. I agree.
Um, so I mean, you look, uh, like the Marlins spent $22 million. They've got to spend money. Baltimore needs to spend money. Pittsburgh needs to spend money. Cleveland and the White Sox and the A's and the Nationals and the Twins and the Reds and the Rays and Detroit and St. Louis. I mean, you have you have 17 teams under $100 million.
Yeah, I know it's crazy.
Like I think you should probably say like, all right, the floor. I mean, what's a fair floor? 85 million.
I think that's where you start.
I mean,
That's the range where you start talking in.
85 million. That means 18 teams need to spend money. And I don't think that's a crazy salary that, the Dodgers are spending 240, the Mets 228, Atlanta 213, San Diego 195, Toronto 193, Philadelphia 189. So 85 is not like crazy.
No, it shouldn't be. It
And
shouldn't be.
85, the you would have to almost quadruple the Marlins salary. So they're at 22. They would have to pay people.
And guess if you have a problem with that as an owner, then you should sell the team.
Yeah. Sell the team or move the team. I don't know how you can't make money playing baseball in Miami. It's a big city. It's a tourist city.
Yeah.
Make it a destination. Like you don't need a shit ton of fans. Like you could just be a destination. Like Vegas doesn't need a ton of Vegas fans because they have so much tourism. Make it a make it a thing like Wrigley where everybody's like, "Oh, I'm in town from Miami. I'm going to go to the nightclub and I'm going to go to the baseball game beforehand." Like
Or you
make it
could
a
move them
cool
to
event.
Nashville.
Yeah, move them to Nashville. If they can't um I mean, what teams could move because they can't be like the Florida teams? Why do Florida not like Florida teams can't or Florida can't support sports teams? What is that? The
I mean,
rate
the ones
the
I think they can are like the Magic and the Dolphins and the in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers. It's about it.
I mean
I
honestly,
guess the Lightning too.
like the Jags don't have support. I don't know how much support the Dolphins have.
I think the Dolphins have a solid support. They've been around a while and have had success.
Um, but the Rays don't have support and
No, and
no baseball.
I think that's part of where they played.
Um, yeah, no
Like they need a
professional
better
sports in Miami.
stadium down there in Tampa Bay, and I think they'll
Well,
draw a little bit better.
didn't their stadium blow away?
It did. The roof blew off.
Yeah, didn't they play in somebody's the Yankees minor leagues
Yes.
or spring
Yes.
training facility?
Yeah, it's Steinbrenner Field.
But still, even when they had a stadium, like they don't have the fan support, and they've been a good team for a number of years.
You've won a couple of pennants. You've been in the playoffs. You've kind of been the post Moneyball A's.
Yeah, you really have. Uh, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Donato wins it in overtime for the Blackhawks. And on that note, I think I've said my piece.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_sports_podcast on Instagram, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter /X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Denver New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down